Is there any way that you may be able to help me detach from all the seeking, identification, needs, and mind games? I just want to end suffering and be me, free, one with all and no one and no thing. But again, who is it that wants to be free? You are no thing. You are being. You are life. You are everything. This idea, I want to be free, is coming from this. It's coming from suffering. It is this. It's the same dynamic of I want money. You've got an idea of what you want, an idea of no thing, of oneness or being free. You've got an idea of an experience, and that experience, as soon as it is a something, it's an idea of a pleasure, an idea of something that will make you happy. But happiness is the no you. Happiness is all these ideas falling away. Even the idea of enlightenment and wanting enlightenment. Even the idea that you want to end suffering. And I don't know how or why it happens. It's just God's will. It's just life's will. Like here, it came to a point where even suffering was allowed. And in suffering being allowed, it fell away. But I didn't allow it, it just was allowed. I wasn't trying to get away from suffering. And what is suffering? Seeking. Separate self. It was just an absolute acceptance of it, of the dynamic of it, and the impersonal nature to it. The mind wants to think that liberation or seeking for enlightenment is more noble than somebody seeking for money. This is all mind activity. This is all claiming, identifying. Life is so completely impersonal. There's no sense here that this state is better than somebody deeply suffering. There's a feeling of sadness for the person or the suffering that is witnessed. But there's no sense it's better or not better. It's just what it is. Just what it is. There's no interpretation really of it. When somebody's crying in front of you and there's sadness for them, there's no sense it should or shouldn't be there. So Nina, who is it that is seeking enlightenment? And the seeking for enlightenment is trying to avoid and avert suffering. And in this game, the individual plays, the separate self plays, the suffering plays. And It's easy to sit there on the other side of this, not thinking that this character, body, mind, being, wasn't whipped by the Zen stick of what I'm saying. I remember when I was younger, I was in this Buddhist group, and everyone had to go around and say why they were there. And everyone was like, a bit more peace in my life. I want to get on better with my husband. That's why they were meditating, why they were at the Buddhist center. I want to have a better relationship with their children. I want to be more calm at work. I was saying that, and I was like, it came to me and I was like, I want to be enlightened. Forget all this little bit of peace more here and there. I want to be enlightened. I remember being really shocked by everyone's answer. And then, after I'd said this, everyone just laughed. I was like, huh. They were just laughing. And so, what I'm saying is Lisa had great attachment to this enlightenment story. Or I had great attachment to this enlightenment story. That goes to who or what is enlightened. There is nobody. Nobody becomes enlightened. The body, the somebody that thinks there is something, falls away. Nothing. It's radical. Radical. I was thinking about the story of Jesus recently, what with it being Christmas and all. And it just really struck me, Jesus being nailed to the cross. And I know very little about Christianity and Jesus, so please forgive me if I'm getting the stories wrong. But just the fact that he walked through the streets with his cross that he was going to be nailed and killed to on his back, while people shouted abuse at him and threw vegetables, and he walked up the hill and then was nailed to his cross and bled to death in the burning sun. And not once does he blame, not once does he say it shouldn't be happening, or there should be something else. He says, forgive them, they know not what they do. This is radical. That would have been painful, incredibly painful, physically painful. Not reacting to one slight bit of abuse, attaching to nothing, not believing that they have to be nice to him, have to be a certain way, not throw vegetables, save him. He was attached to nothing. And the only way that could happen is if you have no ideas and expectations of how life should be. If somebody being there, believing life should be a certain way. The only way he could be at peace with this was by rejecting no part of life. And rejecting no part of life means that all seeking falls away. All seeking and averting falls away. And that means the self, the one that believes there is something, some experience, some being that has to control, create and make life a certain experience. There was no thing. He was unreactive because he didn't see himself as a solid object. It was beautiful, it's beautiful, but it's so radical. If there is a holding to anything, believing you can get to enlightenment, believing that you can make your life happy, believing that you can obtain money if you want, believing that you are better than somebody else, that you've got a better story than someone else because it's the story of enlightenment, believing you can create peace in the world or avoid making other people unhappy. According to Jesus' story, a lot of people were very unhappy with him. He had no idea of self, no sense of self. Therefore, everything was allowed, including including a very difficult physical situation. It's beautiful. It's pure love. Pure love to have no holding to anything, any experience, anything, to be nothing, to have nothing, to live as a poor man, poor woman, absolutely empty. It's radical. It's radical. It's radical.